Hello, my name is Christiana, and in this presentation, we're going to be exploring how the pharmaceutical industry will or should adapt to changing times. And this is going to be discussed in terms of investment in technological advancement and patient design. So, the first topic we're going to discuss here is the use of artificial intelligence when it comes to drug research and development. According to the 2021 Artificial Intelligence Index report from Stanford University, the global market for artificial intelligence in healthcare is set to reach approximately $31 billion as we continue to 2025. This is important because we already see pharma companies like Turbine, Deep Genomics, and Atomwise utilizing artificial intelligence to develop the most appropriate drug for medical conditions. And the way artificial intelligence is used is to analyze how safe and effective a drug is. So an example I would like to present here is Atomwise. So back when they were trying to develop a treatment for Ebola, they used the artificial intelligence algorithm. So basically what that provided was two possible compounds that work by inhibiting the Ebola virus from entering into the human cell. Now, it is important that we understand that this type of analysis would usually take months to even years to obtain. However, with the help of artificial intelligence, they were able to reach the analysis in a matter of days. And just to summarize and also clarify, artificial intelligence is not only beneficial for speed, but also beneficial when it comes to savings in drug research and development. Now, when it comes to patient design, in order to explain this concept, I would basically just summarize it and say that this concept follows that patients want to be involved in decision making in the pharmaceutical industry. As you know, we live in a society where there are online communities present on multiple platforms, and this is also true for the patient population. So based on that reality, this is something that moving forward, pharma companies have to really look into in order to involve patients in decision making. So to give an example of why this is important, I would like to bring up a case that was covered in the 2019 video titled, "Why is Patient Design Essential to Healthcare?" by Dr. Mesco. And that video is from the 6th episode of the Prepare Now for the Future of Healthcare series. And so basically the case is a case of protest where diabetic patients barged into the ivory tower of Big Pharma. And the reason why they barged into the ivory tower was because they wanted their voices to be heard, because they disapproved the lack of provision for innovative products that will help them manage their medical conditions better. So in order to address the concerns that were brought up in the protest, the FDA actually made a few initiatives in response. So FDA is the Food Drug Administration. So they made a few initiatives in response to that protest. The first one I would like to discuss is the Patient Engagement Advisory Committee. A picture right here. So this committee is actually the first and only one of its kind. And why do I say that? This is because you have patients and caregivers as members of the committee, and that is huge. That is like that's like the best way to get patient voices out there. So in addition to that committee, the FDA actually approved the first artificial pancreas just 2 years after the do-it-yourself artificial pancreas became publicly available in the diabetic community. So now let me explain what the DIY or do-it-yourself artificial pancreas is. So basically with that, you have an integration of continuous glucose monitoring as well as an insulin pump, right? And smartphone technology, right? You have them working together in order to achieve an automated insulin delivery for the patient, usually a type 1 diabetic patient. And this is something that has transformed the way that diabetic patients go about the management of their condition. As we can see from everything that I have discussed, the main idea is that patients just want their voices to be heard when it comes to medication or pharmaceutical product availability and affordability. So moving on, let us discuss the topic of in silico trials. So you might have heard of in vitro trials or in vivo trials, but as times are changing, you may have to familiarize yourself with in silico trials. Essentially, in silico trial is there is the future, because this is basically when we get there, we will be able to use computers to simulate organs, and this will help us bypass the need for animal testing and human experiments to evaluate safety and effectiveness of drugs. So with that being said, in a 2016 article on the White Rose website, the article is titled "In Silico Clinical Trials, How Computer Simulation Will Transform the Biomedical Industry." The authors explain that the technology and biological understanding that we have access to now are not yet there 100% to fully simulate clinical trials. However, because we have key players like the FDA actively involved in bringing about this technological innovation, it is just a matter of time before in silico trials or computer simulation of organs really transform the healthcare industry. So it is important to note that with the different uses of technologies that we've discussed thus far in the presentation, we are basically set to deliver pharmaceutical products in the hands of patients faster. So we must bring up the topic of security in the supply chain, which is where blockchain comes in. So in the 2020 article by Gore and Gaia, the article is titled "Building a Transparent Supply Chain," and it's from the Harvard Business Review. So in this article, blockchain is said to have great potential in bringing about absolute security to drug distribution because it utilizes a barcode record system. And a barcode record system will essentially track the distribution of drugs from the manufacturer to the end user. So why is that important? That is important because if authorized entities can track medication from the manufacturer to the end user, or the person that ends up with the medication, probably the patient, there will be a way where we can limit criminal networks when it comes to the distribution of drugs. So lastly, we will discuss digital health technology. So there is an approach called the around the pill approach. Basically, this approach follows that ideally pharmaceutical products should be sold with an experience. So I'll explain that with an example. So an example I will give here is the My Sugar app. My Sugar app was developed by Roche Pharmaceuticals, one of the pharmaceutical giants. Basically, Roche developed My Sugar app to complement their AccuCheck Guide glucose meter. So this app basically allows patients to log their glucose levels and complete other tasks and challenges within the app. So by giving the patient ability to go beyond just checking their blood glucose levels, Rush, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right, but the pharmaceutical giant, they did exactly what the around the pill approach is all about. Not just selling a product, but selling an experience with the product. So to conclude, I would like for us to understand that the main idea that we've discussed thus far in the presentation is that in the evolving world that we live in, pharma companies will have to invest in technology and patient design in order to have any real progress in this industry. We can expect that there will be a greater utilization of 1, artificial intelligence in drug research and development, 2, a push for patient involvement in decision making, 3, a decline in traditional clinical trials as we gain more developed understanding of in silico trials for stimulating organs, 4, improvement in supply chain sector with blockchain, and 5, an increase in pharma products that are sold with an experience. So you can find the list of references used to obtain the information discussed in the content of this presentation on this last slide. So thank you again for listening and have a wonderful rest of the day.